Welcome, curious minds, to The Deep Dive.
Yeah.
Today, we're not just unraveling a mysterious story. We're really launching into a fascinating investigation into belief, evidence, and, well, the unsettling question of what lies beneath the surface, both literally and, figuratively.
Absolutely. It's a deep one.
We've looked into a pretty compelling stack of sources for you. Everything from a YouTube channel that explores these kinds of strange cases to specific, quite revealing court documents.
Yeah, quite a mix.
And all of it centers on one man's relentless pursuit of what he believes is this sinister secret hidden deep beneath a city in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Our mission today is really to try and understand the world of Buddy Webb. He's a man who claims he uncovered this vast, shadowy operation right under his own home in Midland, Texas. And his journey, it just spirals into alleged government conspiracies, these mysterious break-ins, and even a truly shocking shooting incident. I mean, it's a tale that forces you to question everything.
It really does. And I think what this deep dive will reveal is the powerful interplay between, personal experiences, how someone constructs an entire worldview based on that, and the often challenging nature of figuring out what's actually true.
Right.
Webb's story isn't just about tunnels, is it? It's a stark case study in how deeply held beliefs can shape or maybe even distort our perception of reality.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Our journey into Buddy Webb's world kicks off in 2008. He was 25 years old, working for a gas company, and he got transferred to Midland, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
He purchased a home there under what he later described as, well, peculiar circumstances.
Yeah.
Its previous owner, quite young, had died just weeks before he bought it.
Oh, wow.
And the property itself was also a bit unusual, kind of nestled directly behind a Home Depot, right next to the secluded truck unloading lane. And almost immediately after moving in, Webb started to suspect strange activity.
Yeah, and what's immediately striking is just how quickly this sense of unease seemed to take root for him. Our sources show he started meticulously documenting everything, taking pictures morning and afternoon, completely convinced that people were breaking into his home.
Right away.
Almost immediately, this intense feeling of intrusion, it just quickly became the foundation, really, for everything he would claim later on.
So for over a year, Webb conducted what he called systematic tests.
Yeah.
He'd lock up, check for disturbances, take pictures, basically trying to prove someone was entering his house. And he eventually came to this terrifying conclusion. They weren't coming through the doors or windows.
They were already inside. That was his thought.
Exactly.
And that's a really significant turning point in his thinking, isn't it? He actually recalls someone suggesting to him, do you think they're coming in from the floor? And Webb admitted he'd never even conceived of something like that.
Never crossed his mind.
But soon he became convinced that was precisely what was happening. And this idea, this unseen underground entry point, it fundamentally shifts how he understands the threat he's facing.
And the incidents, according to Webb, they just escalated dramatically from there. In November 2010, that's when he made his first call to the local police about a burglary.
Okay.
Then just 2 months later, January 2011, he called 911, the emergency line, absolutely certain he could hear someone in his attic. He even said he was scared, convinced people were actually up there living in his house.
Living in the attic, that's intense.
Yeah. He claimed his home was repeatedly burgled, with people not just getting in, but actively climbing through walls or residing in his attic.
Right.
He made numerous calls, not just to the local cops, but to the Texas Rangers and even the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, detailing all these alleged incursions.
And this is where you start to see the scale of his conviction, right?
Yeah.
He believed he wasn't just dealing with, random break-ins, but something far more organized, something sinister. He was convinced this implied a larger, more coordinated network was specifically targeting him.
So then, in January 2012, Webb kind of takes his suspicions up another notch. He reported what he believed was a drug tunnel running directly under Midland to the DEA. That's the Drug Enforcement Administration.
It's a federal agency, yeah.
But according to Webb, the DEA showed absolutely no interest. None at all.
Really?
Yeah. He speculated they either just didn't care or maybe even more chillingly, they already knew about it.
Which feeds right into the conspiracy narrative.
Totally. Then the situation takes a truly horrifying turn. Just 2 weeks after reporting that tunnel to the DEA, Buddy Webb was shot in his home.
Okay, wow.
And this is where the details get particularly strange. He claims he wasn't shot from above or, at eye level. He says he was shot from the ground.
From the ground.
From the ground. And his house, he insists, does not have a basement.
A shot from below with no basement. I mean, that detail profoundly impacts the narrative he's building. It directly supports his whole tunnel theory, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And Webb claims he has security pictures showing him literally crawling out of his home after being shot. He said he couldn't call 911 because his cell phone had mysteriously disappeared earlier that day.
Convenient. Or maybe not.
Right. And his cordless home phone, which he apparently had in his pocket, was dead because, he says, the phone lines were inexplicably cut.
Okay, so that sequence of events, I mean, if you take it as he presents it, it would point to a highly coordinated attack.
Yeah.
The specific details, like the shot from below, the disabled communication, it suggests a deliberate attempt not just to harm Webb, but also to stop him from reporting it. It speaks to a deep level of premeditation.
And it gets even more bizarre. Webb states that 2 police officers arrived at his home 19 minutes after he called out for help. He's posted pictures on his Facebook, he says, but claims there was no official police dispatch for their arrival.
No dispatch. So how did they know?
Exactly. He questions who called them. He even questions whether one of them could have been the actual shooter. And then, according to Webb, the security cameras pointing towards his house were disabled precisely at 11:22 a.m. on January 28, 2012.
The precision of that timeline and the specific details he offers are, well, they're striking. It really paints a picture of someone deeply convinced of this grand conspiracy unfolding all around him, and he's meticulous, really meticulous in recording what he sees as the evidence for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And from that point on, Buddy Webb's theories only deepened, became more intricate. He started monitoring police radio bands across Midland, claiming much of what he heard just reinforced his theory that they're all in on it.
The police, too.
He came to believe the previous owners of his home were actually killed by the same people who shot him, and even more unsettlingly, that the possible murderers were law enforcement themselves.
Wow, that's a huge leap. And he's maintained this significant security setup in his home, right? Ready for more incursions, documenting everything on his YouTube channel.
Constantly. He believes there's this vast secret network of underground tunnels far beyond just drug smuggling. He thinks they have multiple uses.
Okay, like what?
Well, he claims these tunnels are used for a terrifying array of illicit activities. Top secret, military and intelligence stuff, drug smuggling, human trafficking, even prison breaks.
Prison break.
Yeah. He points to unusual construction around his house, suggesting it's directly connected to these underground facilities. He even shows footage he described as, like, strange foundation work happening behind his home, hinting at a tunnel entrance.
Okay.
And then there's this particularly chilling connection he makes. Webb linked these alleged underground tunnels to the disappearance of a 13-year-old girl, Hayley Doan, back in 2010. Her remains were found in 2013.
Oh, no.
He believes she was connected to child sex rings operating within these tunnels. He states that he actually emailed the Department of Justice suggesting they look into the not-so-secret underground facility and tunnels near his home in Midland. And then just 2 days later, he says, her remains were found over in Scurry County.
That timing is certainly something he'd point to. And what's particularly unsettling about Webb's narrative is his claim that he's not alone in believing this stuff.
Right, he mentions others.
Yeah, he points to others, like an O.X. Jones, who reportedly had similar experiences. You know, alarms going off, being shot from underneath their house, suspicions of police tampering with evidence. For Webb, this suggests a pattern, a whole network of victims that validates his own experiences.
Okay, so you might be wondering, listening to all this, with these extraordinary claims and the sheer volume of evidence Buddy Webb has compiled and posted everywhere, how do you even begin to make sense of it all?
And that's really the crucial question, isn't it? Because to truly understand this deep dive, we have to look beyond just his narrative. It becomes pretty clear there's another side to Buddy Webb's story.
A very different side.
Yeah, one that directly challenges many of the claims he presents on his YouTube channel and Facebook. The judicial records, especially, they paint a very, very different picture.
So, for instance, in 2017, Webb appealed a protective order that's basically a court mandate to prevent harassment or abuse.
A restraining order, essentially.
Right. It barred him from any communication with his ex-wife or his daughter.
Yeah.
And the reason? He was accused of stalking her.
And his ex-wife testified in court. She described a marriage that lasted only 3 months. She separated quickly because she genuinely felt her life was in jeopardy.
3 months.
Yeah. And she explicitly described him in court as very delusional. She believed that she had become part of what she saw as a broader conspiracy theory he held against people. It kind of echoes his larger theories, but turned inward on their relationship.
And during that brief marriage, she claimed he actually locked her in a room and interrogated her for hours.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. Webb, she said, had developed this theory that a tunnel ran under his house, connecting to pathways that led into the attic, and that this was like a transportation system for a prostitution ring. And he then proceeded to question his wife about her alleged involvement in this ring. I mean, this deeply personal detail documented in court, it significantly shifts the lens through which you have to view his wider claims, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. This personal history is incredibly important. It raises a big question about, the origin and the nature of his elaborate theories. Does this suggest a pattern of perhaps paranoid thinking that extended beyond his home and into his most intimate relationships?
Or was everyone just part of the threat?
Right. Or does it merely indicate that even his closest connections were drawn into what he perceived as a legitimate threat? The court records, though, they certainly lean towards the first explanation.
Okay. And what about the shooting incident, the one where he claimed he was shot from underground? The court documents offer a drastically different scenario, one that was pretty painstakingly detailed by law enforcement.
Very different.
According to police reports and court testimony, it's likely Webb shot himself accidentally. When police investigated, they found a homemade booby trap.
A booby trap.
Yeah, a tripwire connected to a shotgun inside his house, aimed towards an entry point. The evidence strongly suggested it was this device, not some attacker from a tunnel, that caused his injury.
And when the police arrived at the scene, the situation was obviously perceived as incredibly dangerous. I mean, a potential booby trap reports of shooting.
Right.
So to ensure officer safety, they first sent in a robot to assess the situation. Only after that did they disable the cameras. Now, this wasn't, as Webb suggested, some act to cover up a shooting by law enforcement.
It is procedure.
It was reportedly standard procedure to avoid recording an officer potentially being shot while entering what appeared to be a booby-trapped and hostile environment. That's a crucial detail that completely reframes the police's actions in that moment.
And the detectives involved in the case, they found Webb to be, and this is the word they explicitly used in court documents, delusional. They noted his shifting accounts of what happened.
He changed his story.
Yeah. He later even claimed neighborhood kids had shot him, which further muddies the waters of his accounts and directly contradicts his initial underground shooter theory.
It's really vital to differentiate here, I think. Look, governments around the world do engage in covert operations, sometimes terrible things. And it's certainly plausible that unacknowledged tunnels exist in places like parts of Texas for illegal activities, people smuggling, drug trafficking, sure.
That's not impossible.
Right. We're not dismissing the possibility of such things out of hand. However, when we examine Buddy Webb's specific claims against the official court records, against personal testimonies, they present a really challenging picture of his credibility and, maybe more importantly, his perception of reality.
Yeah.
The evidence we actually have seems to point towards a highly personal, deeply complex set of circumstances, rather than the widespread government conspiracy he alleges.
So what does this all mean for us, the curious minds, trying to make sense of this incredibly complex story? We've heard Buddy Webb's gripping, often terrifying account, secret tunnels, government conspiracies, personal attacks.
The compelling narrative.
But we've also looked at the disturbing counter-narrative, the one meticulously detailed in court documents, painting this picture of delusion, maybe even self-inflicted harm.
And it's just a stark reminder, isn't it, that even the most compelling and detailed stories can have multiple layers. Understanding the full context, especially when you're confronted with conflicting evidence like this, is absolutely crucial.
Definitely.
This case really serves as a powerful example of how the human mind can construct these elaborate narratives, sometimes almost in defiance of objective facts, especially when someone feels under threat or is under immense distress. It highlights the challenge we all face, really, in evaluating information and figuring out truth in a world just full of claims and counterclaims.
So, ultimately, the truth here probably lies somewhere in that difficult intersection of personal belief and documented fact. Whether you find Buddy Webb's claims a chilling expose of a hidden world, or maybe a tragic descent into delusion, it's undeniably a story that stays with you.
Mm-hmm.
It forces us to consider the limits of what we can truly know and maybe what we choose to believe.
Well said.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into what is a truly perplexing case. We hope this exploration has given you a richer understanding of a story with many, many layers.
Hopefully.
If you found this story as captivating and thought-provoking as we did, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel Horror Docs for more terrifying tales. Until next time, stay curious and keep questioning what's really lurking beneath the surface.